Hello guys, my name is Armin. In today's episode, Learning Revizto, we're gonna take a look at preferences. This is the settings for the Revizto. You can adjust navigation mode, camera, 3D background, graphics, switchback, cache, and much more. So basically, it's gonna help you kind of customize your system and your machine with the program to get the best performance and efficiency. So without further ado, let's jump into Revizto so it can show you how to adjust those. But if you like the content, make sure to subscribe and leave a like.
In today's episode, Learning Revit, so we want to look at the preferences. We want to see what we have, how we can set it up, if we want to change the visual, if we want to change the units, and much more. You need to go to the preferences. So it's basically on top right here next to help. You can click on preferences. It's going to open up a box for you. So the first one is general. So this is where you're going to have your folder. You can basically change it, put it somewhere else. You can select the language. This is the scale of the view and everything that you go around. I would leave it on auto. Default screen for all projects. So it means when you open up the project where it's gonna show your model. So you can have it on 3D or issue tracker. I would recommend leave it on 3D, which is gonna be this one in the middle, and you can kind of move to 2D, 3D. For the spell checking, there is all different languages. If you have a specific language you want to leave on, or you can select English, and then make sure you select the models to load when opening a project. So just basically all the models that are selected, open the project, load them. You make sure you have access to the latest and greatest ones. Navigation is gonna give you ability to access to a different walking mode. So game mode, Revit, SketchUp, in terms of navigation, everything is over here with the shortcut. Also, you'll be able to change the sensitivity for the rotation, the speed, the walk, and also invert the mouse in terms of the vertical. When you look up and down, you can kind of do that. So this is the place that you come if you feel more comfortable with the Revit. So a navigation mode you can select if you with Revit, SketchUp, or any of these, you'll be able to kind of select it over here. Display units is going to give you the feet and inches, millimeters, meter feet, and then also right here is going to give you the fraction what you want to select, and right here this is the decimal, so you can kind of adjust the decimal, and then angular you have degrees or radians. When you go to graphic, there's a few different options here. So this one, it basically give you how beautiful, let's say, the graphic is versus not. So if I go to the fast, you can see it's not going to pay attention more to the graphic, but the performance is going to be high. So the more that I go up, like a beautiful, you can see a little bit more rendered. You can see the area. If you can see fantastic, it's going to be all very crisp and clean image or 3D, and you'll be able to see it. Depends on how powerful your computer is and how big your model is. So you can kind of select those graphic qualities right here. For the visual effect, if you want to add more detail to the dark object that it's your model, but just pay attention that it's gonna lose detail on the light objects. I would now recommend this one, but you can see how it's gonna change the light. But again, you're just gonna go back the specs on your computer and see the graphic cards and everything and how big your model is. Real-time shadow, display the shadow, and then increase the GPU load. So it just makes sense. You using more visual graphic is gonna affect the GPU, and then the super sampling, also the same thing. If you keep using it, it's gonna increase the GPU load on yours. The quality and performance. So if you downscale the resolution, basically this option recommend for the mobile. So it's gonna downgrade, downscale the rendering and then visual, so it's not lagging on your mobile device when you look at it. And also texture. So this one is gonna take a lot from your RAM and GPU. So I would recommend just leave these off. Don't turn it on for your, and it also it says here this option increase the required amount of GPU RAM is recommended, turn it off for large project. rendering. So if you have any material that is double-sided, this basically renders it, but again, it's just gonna take the needs more power from the GPU. So I want you to pay attention to these little like a trees right here. So if I turn these on, you can see how basically render it and show these double-sided objects. So it just needs more power from your computer to kind of show all of the double-sided materials. I always just leave it off so it's not going to affect my model. And then again, right here, you can kind of adjust whatever you need, the memory. Just leave it under details, it's fine, but basically you need this one to in terms of the performance of your computer. Camera, the field of view, how close and how far you are, basically just the top boundary of the visible area, the camera position and everything. I always leave it on 60. It works well for me. The visibility distance, how far you can see, it depends on how big your project is, but I think 4,000 feet should work for everyone. The level, the eye level or the walk, basically just the elevation when you start the walk mode in your project. You can adjust it per the project that you have, but I think I will leave it at like a 5 or 6 feet makes more sense to kind of walk stuff around. And then when you check these box, that's going to be the smooth transition between your clashes. They go into the issues, coming back to the viewpoint, go from clash to clash. This is going to be a very smooth um, kind of transfer or transition between one going from one viewpoint to a clash or coming back. For your 3Ds, this is the selection resolution on your selection tree. So if when you click on it on any layer, you want to see a layer, you want to see the first object or whatnot. Also, object transparency override clickable. So when you click on the project on your selection tree, you'll be able to kind of isolate that. And we had a video on how that shows. You can kind of go back and look at the selection tree project. Also show X and Y, which is going to be this one at the bottom right here, X, Y, and Z axis. And then issue pin. So if you're creating an issue, basically shows a pin on the project and you want to see how far you want to see those, like a 70 feet from that location that you are. It basically shows all the feet. If you want to increase, you'll be able to kind of adjust it over here. The 3D background that you can use. So it's basically just the background of your project right here. So if I go to the horizon, you can see it like the time of the day. You can kind of adjust all of this. If you go to the night and then solid color, it's going to be easy. You can kind of change the colors over here or select anything you want. I always leave it on solid. Um, it just basically blacks, so it's going to be easier for me to identify the clashes and issues. For the cache files, you can download content of completed issues. Just leave that download hosted attachment. So you have current issues, always leave it in that. And then there's going to be like a few more like options right here, for dark hosted files, a size greater than that, this amount like a megabyte if you want, basically time pass after the last opening, how many days. So it's going to talk about how it's going to keep the caches versus how it's going to remove them, get rid of them, or sync them. So basically, that's all. Is going to explain all of these items for you. And then switchback, it's basically if you want to switch back between a clash and issue, if you have this box on, when you double click on an issue and it's connected to a clash, you just gonna switch back between those two. Also, this one is the size of a box around uh, the issue or clash. So when you go from one position, one location of the clash to an issue, it basically has a box around it that this is going to be the size of that box. If you want to make it bigger so you can see more stuff around it, you can adjust it over here. And right here it has two options. One of them is going to align box with the level, so increase the box height aligns to the top and bottom of that level. So there's another video talking about how to set the level from what model you want to get the levels from. And when you check these box, it makes the box big, so it's gonna align with that level, so from floor to top. Sometimes I find these a little bit hard because the issues and the clashes are small in one location, and when you check that box, it basically shows you the whole level from the top to the bottom, sort of like a big box. And then it's not gonna be, I would not recommend this one. Enclose all related objects. So this one is good. So when you create the section box around all objects selected in that issue. So if they have a clash, create an issue. When you click switch back to that or double click on it to go to the issues, you'll be able that box around everything is going to include related to that object and the clash to it. And then section box size multiplier, you know how big it is, just leave it on one. And then uncheck the box camera position for from BCF. So I would recommend go through these preferences, check some ideas based on the navigation that you want to pick, based on the language that you have on your Revizto, and also the camera and 3D object and background. You can kind of go through all of these, adjust it, what you have, but I find the default option is works best for me. But if I'm in a meeting that I want to show something that has a little bit more I want to has a little more appealing to the audience. I kind of go to graphic and change it to the fantastic, so it's really rendered and they can see exactly what it looks like. So this is gonna be the default is my recommendation, but you can adjust per the language, per the navigation that you want, a different camera angle that you want, the background. You can basically adjust it over here. And if you didn't like, you can always restore the default easily by click on it and restore the default goes back to the initial default options. Hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. If you like the content, make sure to subscribe and leave a like, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching.